Nobody becomes great all at once. That is the thing about greatness that the world never shows you. It never shows you the thousands of ordinary days that came before the extraordinary result. It never shows you the mornings that felt pointless, the weeks where nothing seemed to be working, the long, quiet stretches where the person doing the work had no idea whether any of it would ever amount to anything. It shows you the arrival, not the journey. And because we only ever see the arrival, we develop a completely distorted understanding of how transformation actually happens. We think it happens in moments, in breakthroughs, in sudden shifts where everything clicks and the person is simply different from that point forward. And we wait for that moment. We wait for the click. We wait for the shift. And while we are waiting, the days keep passing, and the version of us we are waiting to become stays exactly where it is. But what if I told you that the click is not how it works? What if I told you that the transformation you are waiting for is not going to arrive in a single dramatic moment, but is instead already available to you right now, today, in the smallest possible increment? What if I told you that 1% is enough? Not 100%, not a complete reinvention of your entire life starting tomorrow, not the perfect morning routine and the perfect diet and the perfect mindset all activated simultaneously, just 1%. 1% better today than you were yesterday. One small, almost invisible improvement, applied daily, without fail, without exception, without waiting for the conditions to be perfect, or the motivation to be strong, or the moment to feel significant. Because here is what 1% does over time. Here is the mathematics that most people never sit with long enough to understand in their bones. If you improve by just 1% every single day for an entire year, you will not be 1% better at the end of that year. You will not be 10% better, or 50% better, or even 100% better. You will be 37 times better. 3,700% improvement, from 1% a day, every day, for 1 year. That number sounds impossible, but it is not inspiration. It is not exaggeration. It is compound mathematics. The same mathematics that makes interest compound in a bank account. The same mathematics that makes a small fire grow into something that cannot be stopped. The same mathematics that turns a tiny snowball at the top of a hill into something enormous by the time it reaches the bottom. The mathematics does not care about your circumstances. It does not care about where you are starting from. It does not care about how far behind you feel, how many times you have tried and fallen short before, how much time you think you have already wasted. The mathematics only cares about the direction you choose and whether you show up for it every single day. 1% better every day in the direction of who you are trying to become. That is the entire formula. Everything else is detail. But I want to be honest with you about something, because I think honesty is more useful than inspiration, and I think you deserve the full picture. The 1% rule sounds simple, and it is simple. Simple to understand, simple to articulate, simple to nod along to while watching a video. But it is not easy. It is one of the most quietly demanding things a human being can commit to, because the enemy of the 1% rule is not laziness. It is not even failure. The enemy of the 1% rule is invisibility. The results of 1% daily improvement are completely invisible for a very long time. You will not see them after 1 week. You will not see them after 1 month. You may not see anything clearly visible even after 3 months of genuine, consistent daily improvement. And that invisibility is the hardest thing about this practice, because we are wired for immediate feedback. We are wired to need evidence that the effort is working. We are wired to look for the result, the proof, the sign that we are on the right track. And when that evidence does not appear, the doubt creeps in. The questions start. Is this actually working? Am I doing this right? Maybe I'm just not the kind of person this works for. Maybe I should try something different. Maybe I should just stop.
And most people do stop, not because they are weak, not because they don't want it badly enough, because they did not understand what they were signing up for. They did not understand that the growth was happening even when they could not see it. They did not understand that the invisible season is not a sign that the process is broken. It is a sign that the process is working exactly as it should. Think about a seed planted in the ground. On day 1, you plant the seed and you cover it with soil and you water it. Day 2, you water it again. Day 3, the same. Day 7, you look at the ground and there's nothing there. Day 14, nothing visible. Day 20, still nothing that you can see above the surface.
Was the seed doing nothing? Was all that watering wasted? Was nothing happening in those 3 weeks of invisible silence? Of course something was happening. The root system was developing. The seed was cracking open. The shoots were forming underground, getting strong enough to break through the surface. The most critical work of the entire plant's life was happening completely out of view. And then, one morning, you go outside and there it is, a shoot. Small, fragile, barely noticeable, but there. And from that point, the growth becomes visible, and it accelerates, because the root system was ready, because all that invisible work was preparing something real. You are the seed, and the daily 1% improvements you are making right now, the ones that feel too small to matter, the ones that nobody around you is noticing, the ones that you cannot yet see any evidence of, those are your roots, developing underground, getting strong enough to break through the surface. Do not mistake the invisibility of your roots for the absence of growth. They are the same season. And the only difference between the seed that becomes a tree and the seed that never does is whether someone kept showing up to water it during the invisible part. Keep showing up, even when you cannot see anything, especially then. Now I want to talk about what the 1% looks like when it is applied to the specific areas of your life where growth actually matters, because I do not want this to stay abstract. Abstract ideas are easy to agree with and easy to forget. Specific ideas change behavior. Think about your mind first. The quality of your thinking is the foundation of everything. Every decision you make, every problem you solve, every opportunity you recognize or miss, it flows from the quality of your mind. And most people are not improving their minds every day. They are maintaining them at best, degrading them at worst, by filling them with content designed to capture their attention rather than to develop their thinking. 1% better for your mind looks like this: 10 pages of a book today that you would not have read yesterday. One idea engaged with seriously instead of scrolled past. One moment of genuine reflection on something that matters instead of another hour of consuming content that will be forgotten by tomorrow. This is not dramatic. It will not feel like much in the moment. But 10 pages a day is 3,650 pages in a year. That is 10 to 15 substantial books on subjects that matter. Knowledge that compounds into a way of thinking that is categorically different from the one you started with. Think about your body, not your appearance, your capacity, your ability to show up energetically for your own life, to think clearly because your brain is getting what it needs, to regulate your emotions because your nervous system is not chronically depleted, to bring genuine presence to the things and people that matter because you are not running on empty. 1% better for your body looks like this: 1 more glass of water today than yesterday, 10 more minutes of sleep, a 10-minute walk that you did not take yesterday, 1 meal with more nutritional value than the one you would have chosen by default. These are not transformations, but compounded across 365 days, they build a physical foundation that is fundamentally different from the one built through neglect, and that foundation changes everything that is built on top of it. Think about your skills. Whatever it is that you want to be known for, that you want to build your life around, that you want to offer the world, it requires skill. And skill is built through repetition, daily repetition,
Not occasional bursts of effort separated by long periods of inactivity, but the steady daily application of attention and practice to something that matters. 1% better for your skills looks like this. 30 minutes today that you give to the thing you are trying to build. Not when you feel inspired, not when conditions are perfect. Today, 30 minutes of focused, intentional practice. And tomorrow, 30 minutes again. The skill that results from daily 30-minute practice sessions sustained over a year is not 30% better than where you started. It is qualitatively different. It has crossed thresholds you cannot cross through occasional effort. It has become part of your identity, not just part of your schedule. Think about your courage, because everything I have described requires it. The courage to keep improving your mind when the content designed to distract you is so much easier to consume. The courage to keep showing up for your body when comfort is available and the results are not yet visible. The courage to keep practicing your skill when you are still in the phase of being bad at it and improvement is slow and your work does not yet match your vision for it. 1% more courageous today than yesterday looks like this. One conversation you have been avoiding, started. One decision you have been sitting on, made. One thing you have been waiting to feel ready for, begun before the readiness arrives. 1% further into the discomfort that is guarding everything you actually want.
And think about your relationship with yourself. Because underneath all of this, underneath the mind and the body and the skills and the courage, is the question of how much you actually believe you deserve to become the person you are working toward. And for many people, that belief has been damaged by failures that were interpreted as evidence of permanent inadequacy, by comparisons that made their progress look insignificant, by years of breaking promises to themselves until self-trust eroded into a quiet, chronic expectation of their own non-follow-through. 1% better in your relationship with yourself looks like this. One small promise made and kept today. Not a grand declaration, a small one. So small you cannot reasonably say no, and then keeping it. Because every kept promise is a deposit into the account of self-trust. And self-trust, compounded over time, becomes the unshakable internal foundation that allows you to attempt and achieve things that a person without it cannot. Now, I want to address the thing that I know is happening in some people listening to this, the comparison. The looking around at where other people are and measuring your 1% progress against their apparent position. The feeling that even if you get 1% better every day for a year, you will still be nowhere near where they already are, so why bother? I need you to hear this clearly. The 1% rule is not about catching anyone. It is not about closing a gap with someone else. It is about the only competition that has ever actually mattered, which is the one between who you are today and who you were yesterday. Someone else being further along in their journey does not slow your 1% down. Someone else being more talented does not reduce the compound effect of your daily improvement. Someone else's position on the path has absolutely nothing to do with the trajectory of yours. In fact, when you spend your energy measuring your progress against someone else's position, you do two destructive things simultaneously. You take your eyes off your own direction, which slows you down, and you use your emotional energy on comparison instead of on the work, which drains the resource you need most. Your 1% is yours. It belongs to your journey, your timeline, your destination. And your destination is not someone else's position. Your destination is the fullest possible expression of who you specifically, uniquely, irreplaceably are. Nobody else can get there for you. Nobody else is on your path, and nobody else's progress has any bearing on whether you reach it. Look forward, not sideways, always forward. There is one more thing I want to say before I leave you with this, and it is the thing that I think matters most, more than the mathematics, more than the specific areas of application, more than any of the practical details. The 1% rule, lived honestly and consistently, does not just change what you can do, it changes who you believe yourself to be. In the beginning, you are someone who is attempting to improve, someone who is trying, someone working toward growth. The improvement is external to your identity. It is something you are doing, not something you are. But somewhere in the accumulation of daily 1% improvements, after weeks of showing up, after months of building evidence that you are someone who keeps going, after proving to yourself through your own repeated actions that you are reliable to yourself, that your word to yourself means something, that you are the kind of person who does not stop when it gets hard, something fundamental shifts. You stop being someone who is trying to be disciplined, and you become someone who is disciplined. You stop being someone who is trying to grow, and you become someone who grows. Not something you are working toward, something you are. And that identity, once it is established, once it is built from the inside through the evidence of your own daily choices, is not fragile. It does not depend on external validation or visible results or anyone else's recognition. It is yours, built by you, through the unsexy, unglamorous, quietly extraordinary practice of 1% better every single day. That is what is available to you, starting right now, starting with today, starting with the one small choice you make in the next hour that is 1% better than the choice you would have made yesterday. The mathematics will do the rest. You just have to show up every day, 1% at a time. And trust, not blindly, but based on the unargued truth of compound growth, that what seems invisible right now is building something that will one day be undeniable. 1% every day. That is enough. That has always been enough. Go build something real.